We're about to head back into the start of the academic year where a lot of students want to start their own business while taking classes. And that's not all a bad thing. Building a startup within a university is actually a great time to do it. You have some stability to classes and lifestyle. You have a lot of people you can bounce ideas off of quickly. But your time as a student entrepreneur is super limited, especially if you're an MBA student where you have 2 years max. 2 years might feel like forever right now, but I promise that is nothing in the grand scheme. How do I know this? Well, because my full-time job is leading student entrepreneurship at Yale. And as a creator, I have developed the Bootstrapped Report where I've gone over 50 plus bootstrap businesses who have grown past the $250,000 in annual revenue. And it takes on average 2.5 years to reach that mark. So in this video, I'll go over what the biggest traps are for student entrepreneurs, how to overcome some of the most common challenges for student entrepreneurs, and then how to make the most of all the different resources at your fingertips that you only have access to as a student founder. Let's start with the biggest traps for student entrepreneurs. And the first one is undervaluing customer discovery and just the overall grind of it. What I see so many student entrepreneurs doing is what they do is they build a survey because that's what they were taught in classes, or maybe they did that in research, or maybe they read it online that you need to do a survey. So they build that survey, it has like a bunch of different questions on it, and then they just send it to their friends on campus who aren't even their customer persona. Please don't do this because these aren't actually like your people. They're not your customer persona 9 times out of 10. And most of the time, even if yes, you got 500 responses to that survey, like what does that actually mean? And then there's the flip side though of this is what I hear a lot of student entrepreneurs say is like, oh, they're just like, I'm the customer persona, so I know everything I need to know about customer discovery. That's not true either. Just because like you have this problem and just because you think so-and-so has that same problem, they might be seeing it from a totally different angle. Yes, you might be solving your own problem, but it doesn't mean it's exactly the same for everyone. And it doesn't mean that just because you like know the problem yourself, like that you can solve every little thing and build a really valid business just off of your own experience. Trap number 2 is trying to do all of it all at once. And it's great that you have this like big vision and you're thinking of like, we're gonna be the next unicorn, we're gonna go build the next big XYZ thing, right? That's all really wonderful. But here's the thing, you're not gonna be able to build all of that out of the gate because every company that you really admire and that is an actual unicorn and has all these big visions and ambitions, they're not doing that overnight either. It at least took them, most of them are at least 10 years old, are the ones you admire. So you're not going to build everything that you ever want to out of the gate. Trap number 3 is getting caught in the trap of hype and credentials. Now, it's great if you win the check at a pitch competition, you get into the accelerator program, or raise money if that's right for your own business. But here's the thing. Those aren't the end game. Those are really just the start. Just because you got the big check on stage and people are praising you because it's such a cool idea. Like again, that's just the start. That doesn't pay the bills. And yeah, sorry, you can go chase raising money because that would be cool. You can go chase the TechCrunch article or Y Combinator. All those different things, right? Those are cool things to have on your LinkedIn, on your resume, and be able to claim those things. But the thing is, those might be building a business or a lifestyle that you actually don't want. So think long-term. Don't just build a business that checks a lot of different boxes and gets a lot of different awards and titles and all these different things, because ultimately that might not be the business that you actually want. So those are the traps, but let's talk about the challenges of student entrepreneurs. And the first one I want to talk about is priorities. Classes are important, but sometimes getting the B isn't the end of the world, and you probably don't need to be involved in every single student club you're interested in. From my experience, you usually only get to pick 3 main things. 1 should be classes, 2 should be your venture, and 3 should be something fun. For me, when I was a student entrepreneur building an underwater drone company, it would look like classes, but being willing to accept the B, not the A, my venture, and then an intramural sport to hang out with friends who, if I said the word product market fit, they wouldn't even know what I was talking about. Challenge number 2 is the linear way of growth. And what I mean by this is like in the academic system, especially in the United States and the K through 12, is that we are taught, right, like everything is just kind of building on top of one another. Especially, right, if like maybe you're trying to like get the classes or get the major, right? You're gonna have to do, chemistry 101 before you can do organic chemistry and physical chemistry, right? Everything just kind of builds on top of one another. And so we take this kind of approach then to venture building as student entrepreneurs a lot of times, or at least that's what I end up seeing. So basically what happens, right, is you're like, oh, I need a technical co-founder. I need this little bit of funding. I need to do market research. I need to do all these different things before I can even really start anything. And the truth of the matter is that that's just not true. Venture building is not this linear process where you can be able to line all your different resources up and then go. Like, sure, like, could it work? Sure. But 9 times out of 10, it never works. You never even get started because like you'll never get XYZ resource, the technical co-founder, you never meet the perfect person, right? It just never ends up working. A lot of times in venture building, right, it's a lot of baby steps that then result in bigger steps from a high level. So you need to unlearn a little bit of the linear growth process that we've all been taught so many times in the academic system. And it's not all a bad thing, but when it comes to building a venture, it's not a linear growth curve. Challenge number 3 is getting outside of your university bubble. And this one's tough because, right, everything that you're doing on campus and everything way you live has maybe your university logo. Everything is about campus. But here's the thing. Even though you pitched your idea to your friends in your dorm room or wherever at lunch, right, that's all great. You should be doing those things. But their advice or their thoughts and their feedback isn't actually that helpful, especially if you're trying to sell to college students and they were like, oh yes, I would buy that. Like maybe they buy it for like $10 and that's all great. Like that's a good starting point. But the thing is, like, very few college students actually have real spending power. And if you really want to sell and build a business that like is similar to this, quick tip here. Many of you have disposable income right after you graduate and then have a real job for a few years. So just adjust your target market just slightly and you have a much better business 9 times out of 10. Overall though, we want to sell to people who have money. And yes, that includes those that have social impact tied to your venture, because making money and having social impact, good or bad, can and does go hand in hand a lot of the time. Okay, so we've gone over the traps, we've gone over the challenges. Let's go over how to make the most out of the university resources to help you build a startup while you are a student. And the first resource you definitely need to take advantage of while you are a student, and no matter where you are, is the Alumni Networks. And yes, there are different tools you can use right within the universities to help you connect with people and that can show you who's active in the network and might make it a little bit easier. And you should use those tools. But not every university has those tools. The one tool you should definitely be using is LinkedIn. And LinkedIn to me is still sneaky powerful. It's still underrated by so many different student entrepreneurs. Because for example, let's say you want to meet someone at a certain company. What you can do is go to LinkedIn, go to that company profile, and then go to see where they studied. And if you went to a larger school, you can actually see like people that went to your college and actually work there. So most likely, especially if you went to a larger school, you're going to know someone at that company. And yes, they might not be the perfect fit because maybe you want to meet someone in marketing, but maybe they're in engineering. It's still worth reaching out to them being like, hey, I'm a student at XYZ University. Like you went there too. Like, can I get your feedback on something I'm thinking about, for 10 minutes? And get their feedback. And then most of the time, right, if the conversation went really well and they like what you're doing and like you, they might be like, hey, actually, let me connect you to so-and-so on the team. And if you're doing all this consistently, what you're going to see is that your second degree and connections on LinkedIn are going to drastically grow. And that's going to help you build your venture in such a great way. The second resource you definitely need to take advantage of are pitch competitions. And yes, pitch competitions, right? They give you free money. And a lot of times you think that like, that's the big resource. Like that's the thing you want. You want the big check. And that's great, right? Like go for the definitely go the free money and the grants, all that stuff. That's all wonderful. But there's bigger value than just the checks. The bigger value is maybe the awareness and the people that are there. So for an awareness standpoint, right, if you're on stage and pitching in front of people, you have maybe tens or maybe 100 people at these events a lot of the time. And then even if you're not on stage, a lot of the times, right, you're on the websites of these pitch competitions. And if it's a university website, make sure they link to your website because it's going to help you send people to your site. And also, right, it gives you some backlink credit, which for SEO purposes is, I still think, really valuable. But then, right, if you're talking to people and the reviewers, the judges, the audience, right, you're going to be able to get a lot of feedback very, very quickly. So that helps you move things faster because you have a ton of people and you're getting a lot of feedback very quickly. Now, again, is all that feedback really valuable? Just like if you were sending out a survey, like not all of it, right? But chances are, especially if there's 100 people in the audience, there's at least going to be a couple of people that might have some insights on what you're trying to build. But the last part of pitch competitions, I think, is the toughest part because you're in competition with these people. Is become friends, or at least get to know the people you are pitching against. This is kind of helpful for two different reasons. One is that you're a lot of times, even if that venture, right, is like, oh, I thought they sucked pitching, but they still beat us, right? Or maybe they're a completely different industry and you barely even know what they do, right? A lot of times you're going through the same issues with your venture, or maybe you will in the future. And that just helps you build community, and you can maybe move faster because, oh, actually we did it this way or whatnot, right? It just gives you a lot of good community through that. But the second part of this is that you never know where these companies are going to go, right? They might take off or you might take off, and that might be a really strong connection for you in the future, in the long term. So build connections with these people and build relationships and build strong friendships if it makes sense. The third way to make the most out of the university resources is to use the academic resources. And I think this might be a little bit counterintuitive to some of the advice I've been giving in this video, but there's actually a lot of academic resources that can be really helpful for helping you build your venture. And the first one I think is actually one that isn't used enough, especially on campuses, are the libraries. A lot of times the libraries have access to data sets and research databases to give you a lot of different market research data tools that you wouldn't have if you were not at the university. And one tool in particular, especially if you are fundraising, that is incredibly helpful is PitchBook. Because PitchBook can show you like who's been fundraising, who's the alumni ventures, right? All the different things. So definitely use the databases, because once you leave the university, those databases kind of go away. And a lot of times they're way too expensive for you to be buying on your own. The second academic resource is faculty members, especially if you like the deep or harder tech, because maybe they have opportunities to be doing research that could be commercialized, or maybe they have like, oh, this research is ready to be commercialized, but we don't have the right student, right? You never know what's going to be there. And yes, a lot of faculty are like, no, I don't do startups, all that kind of stuff, but they can still give you some valuable feedback, especially if you're building a really high tech venture. Then the third academic resource that I would definitely be using is the entrepreneurial groups. And this could be the centers on campus, but also could be the student groups. And the student groups are helpful because it gives you peers to work with. And then the centers are helpful because a lot of times they have mentor networks that actually have recruited alumni a lot of the time that want to be helping to support student ventures. So it's an easy way to get connected to them and kind of start your journey in getting connected to the alumni network. Now, will all of it be great? No. But you'd rather check all of them out and make sure you use them rather than graduate and then find out you should have used a one particular resource. Those are my tips for building a student venture if you're getting started this fall. If you're looking for more resources like this, check out the Bootstrapped Report in the description of this video.